Hi guys, this is Hiro, and today I'm going to be discussing a very important video of Rahu's transit into Aries and Ketu's transit into Libra, okay? So I'll go ahead and get started. There's three major components this video is going to comprise of. First is just the general stuff of Rahu going into Aries and Ketu going into Libra. Second is Saturn's important in this transit. And third is the other planets' importance in this transit, as Mars and Venus both own Aries and Libra. It's almost their own, and then Sun gets exalted and debilitated in each of them. Okay, so I'll go ahead and get started. So Rahu in Aries and Ketu in Libra. Okay, so as you guys may know, probably Rahu and Ketu are always 7 signs apart. Okay, so they're on opposites of each other. Now it's important to understand the axis that they're on. Okay, not just the individual signs they're in. So is Rahu and Ketu, they're separate, but also the same at the same time, okay? And I'll make another video on that later. But, so assuming that you agree with that they're separate and same at the same time, there's a huge karmic or spiritual focus on the axis they're sitting in, right? So Aries and Libra represents what? Rahu and Ketu are there. There's a lot of stuff, karmic and spiritual related stuff, related to the relationship you have with yourself and the relationship you have with others, okay? Just like when Rahu was in Taurus and Ketu was in Scorpio, what does that represent? It represents stability and instability at a general sense, okay? So you could recognize, since about the end of summer 2020, there's been a little bit of focus overall in general with most people on stability and instability, okay? For obvious reasons going on in the world, okay? Now, there's a focus on that. Why? Okay, I'm going to explain why there's a focus on that. So there's a reason why each planet always throws an aspect on the 7th sign from itself, okay? It's because wherever it's sitting, it's always going to affect the sign across, okay? So like instability versus instability, like in Taurus and Scorpio and Rahu Ketu are there, okay? I'm going to try to explain this the best I can, analogy-wise. No matter how stable your life is, or no matter how stable you aspire your life to be like, let's just say Rahu and Taurus, there's always going to be some instability in your life that you're going to have to deal with, okay? And vice versa. No matter how unstable your life is, let's just say you crave instability, okay? Let's just say you're always doing drugs, alcohol, you're going out to nice dinners, partying, getting in lots of relationships, whatever. No matter how much you crave that instability, there's always going to be some sense of stability in whatever you do in our life in general, and you're going to get bored of that, okay? So I really hope that analogy made sense, because it's going to tie into what I talk about next. But that represents kind of the dual nature of the universe we live in, okay? So now Aries and Taurus, okay? The relationship you have with yourself always affects the relationship you have with others. And the relationship you have with others always affects the relationship you have with yourself, okay? That's why, there's like some quote where it's like, in order to love someone, you have to love yourself, okay? I'm not really too crazy about these cheesy quotes, but there's some truth behind it, right? Which is that if there's some insecurities within me, I'm gonna automatically project them on people on the outside. Okay, so if I'm not showing love to myself genuinely, okay, not the way that most people do nowadays, but if I'm not genuinely accepting myself for who I am, I'm not going to genuinely accept anyone else for who they are. And then how can I expect them to accept me for who I am if I can't even accept me for who I am? Okay, so yeah, so when Rahu and Ketu are on this Aries Libra axis, there's a huge focus on that dynamic in general, okay? That's the root, and then that root cause can project into other stuff, right? Like for example, how you view other people affects the relationships you have, personally, at work, etc. Okay? Now, I'm about 5 minutes into this video, so I'm gonna move on to the next part. I'll kind of touch back on this point and expand on it throughout the video as I go. Okay, I don't want to keep rambling. Now, the next part of the video is Saturn's importance in this. Okay, so most of this transit, every part of, okay, so this transit, by the way, it happens from, I have the dates written down right here just so I don't forget, mid-April to end of October 2023, okay, mid-April 2022. So that 18 months, 2/3 of this time, Saturn's going to be in Aquarius, okay, all the time except mid-July 2022 to mid-January 2023, it's going to be in Aquarius, okay? Why is that important? Well, when Saturn is in Aquarius, Ketu throws a 5th aspect on Aquarius, where Saturn sits, and then Saturn throws a 3rd aspect on Rahu, which is sitting in Aries, okay? So they all kind of come full circle a little bit, okay? So what does this mean for you, for anybody, right? So, first of all, I'm going to touch a little bit. I know I discussed this more in the Saturn in Aquarius video. You can watch that like 2 videos ago, I think. But Saturn in Aquarius means like you're doing whatever you have to do to fill your karma to the most like possible extent with other people, okay? Which is exactly what Saturn wants to do. That's why Aquarius is its own multicone. So when Ketu aspects Saturn, it basically allows Saturn to do that. It can allow Saturn to do that in a detached manner, okay? There's always kind of a plus and minus to everything. Okay, but the plus here, I'm assuming if you guys are spiritually inclined, most likely you have that awareness. I'm going to use the benefit of the doubt to just explain the plus side of things, okay? Mostly, unless I really feel the need to explain the minus side of things. But for example, the minus side of this could be like, you know what, like you just feel so detached and from other people, and you just feel so dismotivated, even though you feel this strong urge to fulfill your karma, you're just being lazy about it, okay? That's the bad part of Ketu throwing a 5th aspect on Saturn, okay? But the good part I'm going to describe, see, I don't really want to talk about the bad part too much, but I'll touch on it every now and then. So the good part is it's allowing you to do it from a very detached manner, right? Now, Saturn throwing a 3rd aspect on Rahu in Aries does what? Well, you have to understand why Saturn throws a 3rd aspect, okay? It throws a 3rd aspect because, and like I discussed it more in my Saturn and Aquarius video, but it throws a 3rd aspect because wherever Saturn sits, 3rd house represents what? 3rd sign represents what from wherever you're sitting? It represents your self-effort. So wherever Saturn sits, you have to put in more self-efforts in the 3rd sign from itself, okay? So in Aries, Rahu in Aries, you have to put in more effort in. Rahu's going to try to fulfill all the stuff it can Aries related, okay? Stuff related to yourself, changes within yourself, stuff like this. So you're going to have to put in a little bit more effort from that. Now, if you're able to use this properly, okay, you can use Saturn's energies on Rahu to keep that in check, to make sure that you're making the appropriate changes and that you're making those changes. Saturn also rules Capricorn, right? So there's always going to be a little bit of that element there. So you're making those changes to kind of help Saturn. Saturn's always kind of like the big boss in this whole Jyotish system, okay? But you're making those changes to further assist a better lifestyle that Saturn has to do its job in Aquarius, okay? And Ketu's allowing you to be more detached and not, and let's just say some distractions come your way or something like that with other people. You're not getting too caught up in this, okay? So let's just say, you know, you have some karma related to, you know, someone extremely attractive or something like that. I'm just throwing out an example, right? Ketu's gonna try to do its best to keep you in check, okay? That's that. Now, the last part of this whole thing is that Aries is Mars' Multrikon and Venus is Libra's Multrikon. Whenever either of these 2 planets transit either of these signs, there's gonna be a little bit of a big deal going on here, okay? Regardless of which planet goes in which one. It's going to be a little bit different, but they're both important, right? Why? Let's just say Venus goes into Aries. Yeah, it's not, Aries, you know, on the surface has no connection to Venus, but Venus, when it sits there, when a planet is in a sign opposite of its multrikon, that is literally the last thing that planet wants to do, okay? I know the term debilitated is seen as bad, and it is to an extent, but the actual planets, what it wants to do, the opposite of multrikon is like, that's the last thing it wants to do, okay? So when Venus is in Aries or Mars is in Libra, there's those energies there, okay? Because own sign and multrikon is what it wants to do and really wants to do, okay? Exalted is more what it like, it's what it karmically or spiritually has to do, okay? Now, also, when it's opposite of multrikon, it throws a 7th aspect on the other house. Okay, on the sign 7 houses across, okay? So, and the sign throws an aspect on that planet as well, okay? So whenever these 2 transit either Aries or Libra, there's going to be a big deal, okay? Also, whenever Sun transits these, there's going to be a big deal, okay? Because obviously it gets exalted and debilitated in these two signs, okay? And that's most of the planets that that are constantly moving throughout this transit, okay? So whenever those three transit either of these signs, I'd strongly keep a lookout, okay? And I have some of the dates written down, so I'm going to touch on it a little bit more, okay? So at the beginning of this transit, Sun goes into Aries for about a month, okay? And then right after it leaves, Venus goes in for about a month. And then a little bit after that, Mars goes in for a little bit about a month, okay? So back to back to back, Sun, Venus, Mars, they all transit Aries, okay? So now what does this mean? When Sun transit Aries, okay, Rahu just enters Aries too, okay? This is like, okay, whatever I need to do changes, that energy is going to get accelerated a lot, okay? And if you're able to dissolve your ego, I would say, because Sun kind of represents ego in a sense, you'll do an amazing job, okay? Because when exalted energies challenge the planet also, okay? It's not Mutrikon, okay, or its own sign. It challenges the planet. If you're able to put your ego to the side and dissolve your ego, you'll be able to make the changes a lot more because Rahu's sitting there also, okay? If you don't, you're going to have some trouble, okay? I'm going to leave it as that. Now, next. I'm probably going to make a separate video on that anyways because Sun gets exalted. Next, Venus. Venus sign is opposite of Libra, okay? What does this mean? I mean, Aries is opposite of Libra, okay? And Libra is Venus's Mutrikon. So when Venus enters Aries, it basically means Venus wants to enjoy with other people, okay? But now you're forced to enjoy with yourself. It's like, dude, come on, okay? This is going to be a challenge, not a challenging time, but a time where you're going to have to learn to really love yourself, okay? If that's what you want to call it, okay? Especially because Rahu's there, there's going to be a lot of temptation, okay? When Venus is here, you guys have the advantage because you guys are into Jyotish and stuff like this. Know this. Do not try to look for validation through the outside. Rahu will eat you up, okay? I'm going to leave it at that, okay? Just look for validation within yourself. And then when Mars is there, like now this is on Mutrikona, okay? So you're going to use that Martian energy to make the changes you want to make, okay? This could be like anything you really want to do. This is a great time to start it. Great, I mean awesome time to start it, okay? That's it. I'm going to leave it as that. I'm probably going to make a separate video on that also, okay? Venus and Sun, they transit Aries the next following year, okay? It's pretty much the same thing. And then at the end of the transit, Mars, this is really interesting. The last month-ish of this transit, okay? So this transit ends October 30th. At the beginning and middle of October, Sun and Mars enter Libra, where Ketu is. Oh, I forgot one thing. Okay, before that. In the middle of this transit, Libra and Sun actually enter, Venus and Sun actually enter Libra from about mid-October to mid-November of 2022, okay? So when this happens, this is gonna be a little tough. So, okay, think of Ketu, Sun, and Venus as like people in Libra, okay? Think of Ketu as kind of like the buzzkill, Sun as kind of like the whining baby the whole time, and Venus as the one who's trying to have fun, you can say, okay, for right now. So when you combine all this together, and then imagine these are all people living up here, what this could mean is that, okay, you're forced to, because Venus is still in its own Mutrikon, right? So you're looking for enjoyment from other people, and you could get it, right? Because Ketu, it's kind of all over the place, okay? And it depends on your chart and everything like that. You could get it, but regardless of whether you get the enjoyment you want or not, Sun's there. So you're going to have to be very detached from validation, okay? So you can have great time with friends, great time with whoever you want, but don't afterwards look for validation from those people, okay? Or like expect to be, best friends with them immediately or lifelong partners, stuff like that, okay? I'm going to make a separate video on this Sun and Venus. These are all really important. That's why I'm touching on this in this video, okay? I'm going to make a separate video on when Sun and Venus both go together into into Libra, okay? Like I said, 2023, April time, Venus goes into Aries, and then Sun separately. It's a similar thing to what I just described for 2022 when they both go into Aries. And then now, like I said, at the end, Mars and Sun both go into Libra in 2023 now, okay? At the last month of this transit, okay? Sun and Mars, okay? Sun in his debility and Mars opposite of Mul Trikona, okay? Right before Ketu leaves out of here too. This is basically going to expose all the deep down frustrations you have with other people, okay? And this is going to be good. Why? Because Sun and Mars both go into Scorpio afterwards, and Ketu goes into Virgo. So you can, Ketu's rational. So you have that afterwards you'll have that rational thing to kind of understand what you need to do. And you'll have that intuition from Scorpio, especially with Mars in there, to handle whatever frustrations get dug up appropriately. But during this time, October 2023, a lot of your frustrations with other people will just start coming up, okay? It's important to just, because like I said, you guys are into Joseph, and if you're at the end of this video, you're probably pretty into this stuff, okay? I'm already 16 minutes in, so if you've heard me this far, you're probably pretty into this stuff. Just be aware of it, okay? You are not your thoughts, you are not your emotions, just accept whatever's your mind and everything is going on, whatever Mars and Sun are throwing at you with Ketu and Libra, okay? And a sign that they are not favorable to either of them. You are not your thoughts, you are not your emotions, and you always have the ability to accept any fears that are associated with these thoughts and emotions, and help kind of break down this resistance built up in your head, okay? And like I said, just to touch on this one more time, for my true fans who stayed till the end, Rahu and Ketu, Aries, Libra, okay? There's going to be a lot going on with yourself and a lot going on with other people. Just recognize they're always connected, okay? If you're judging someone else, you're most likely judging yourself in that same manner, okay? When you're judging your own self, you're judging other people, okay? You want to break down all that ego identification and all this stuff, okay? And just as a quick reference, a good website I'd like to refer to you guys is calmdownmind.com, okay? I think it'd be great in this transit, or just throughout any time, okay? I don't know the author, or I just stumbled across his website one time about 10 years back. He's pretty good, okay? His articles are all good, and yeah, just if you need it, I think you might need it for this transit, as it has a lot to do with your own relations and stuff like that. So take a look at that. But overall, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any questions or comments, let me know. And until next time, talk to you guys later. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you.